The Galactic Council ruled the stars for over 5,000 years. Made up of 17 alien races, they controlled nearly half the Milky Way galaxy. Their power came from better technology and clever politics. In the year 2057, their sensors picked up strange energy readings from Earth's solar system. The Council sent a ship to check it out. John Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the radar screen. The 38-year-old captain of Earth's defense ship, Pathfinder, had been leading routine patrol exercises past Mars when everything changed. His crew of 30 had been joking just moments before. Now, silence filled the bridge. "Sir, there's something big coming," warned Ryan Kelly, the sensor officer. His young face paled as readings spiked. The giant alien ship appeared suddenly. It was huge, 5 times bigger than anything humans had built. Its surface looked like crystal and shined in the sunlight. The ship just sat there, silent and waiting. John's stomach tightened, but his voice stayed steady. "All stations, battle. Positions." His fingers tapped a quick code into his chair panel, sending an emergency alert back to Earth. Humanity had always wondered about aliens. Now they had their answer. Olivia Bennett pushed her red hair from her face as she worked at her station. The communications officer adjusted her headset and called out, "Sir, we're getting a message. The computer is trying to translate it." The main screen on the bridge flickered, then showed a being with light blue skin. It had large oval eyes and a big bald head. The alien spoke, its thin lips barely moving. "Greetings, humans. I am Xanadur, sent by the Galactic Council. We have noticed your species." Back on Earth, panic and wonder spread quickly. News channels showed the alien ship. Religious leaders called for calm. Military bases went on high alert. People looked up at the night sky with new eyes. President Laura Garcia called an emergency meeting in the White House underground bunker. Military leaders and scientists argued over what to do. "We should strike first," insisted General Paul Duncan, pounding his fist on the table. "That would be suicide," countered Dr. Carol Mason from NASA. "Their technology must be centuries ahead of ours." President Garcia, a former judge with silver hair and a calm voice, made her decision. "We talk to them. We learn. We don't show fear." She established the First Contact Committee and picked George Thompson to lead it. George was an old-school diplomat with 30 years of experience. His gray beard and kind eyes hid a sharp mind. "I've negotiated with dictators and terrorists," he told the president. "Never thought I'd be adding aliens to that list." 3 days later, the council sent smaller ships to Earth. They landed in an open field near the United Nations in New York. News cameras from around the world captured the historic moment as Xanadur and 2 other aliens stepped onto Earth soil. The aliens looked similar, all with blue skin in different shades, large heads and thin bodies. They wore simple white robes with strange symbols. They didn't wear breathing masks, which surprised the scientists. At the United Nations headquarters, George sat across from the aliens in a special meeting room. Security guards stood nervously at every door. The early talks seemed good. The real aliens offered to share some technology. They talked about trade between worlds and cultural exchange. For 6 days, things went well. People started to relax. Late-night shows made alien jokes. Children drew pictures of blue aliens in school. Then came the 7th day. George entered the meeting room to find Xanadur alone, standing by the window watching New York traffic. "Your species is interesting," Xanadur said without turning around. "So much potential, yet so primitive." George sat down, feeling suddenly uneasy. "We're quick learners." Xanadur turned, his large eyes unblinking. "The Council welcomes Earth as a protectorate," he announced smoothly. "As is customary, new members provide tribute. We require 10% of your planet's rare Earth elements annually, beginning immediately." George kept his face calm, but his hand tightened around his pen until his knuckles turned white. "And if we decline this arrangement?" Xanadur's face showed no emotion. "Protectorate status is not optional for developing worlds. Those who resist find themselves facing difficulties with the galactic community." That night, George met with world leaders through secure video. His tie was loose, and empty coffee cups littered the table. "They're basically space colonizers demanding payment for protection," he explained. "Their technology seems far beyond ours, but something feels off about their behavior. I don't think they're telling us everything." In a hidden lab deep under Wyoming's empty plains, Dr. Samantha Wright led a team studying the little data they had on council ships. Her dark curly hair was tied back, and she hadn't slept in 2 days. She pointed to complex diagrams on a wall screen. "Their ships use some kind of quantum drive we can't match," she explained to General Edward Reeves, a stern man with a square jaw. "But their weapon systems seem oddly basic." "What exactly are you saying, Doctor?" the general asked, leaning forward. Samantha removed her glasses. "I'm saying they're bullies with some fancy toys. Advanced in travel technology, yes, but maybe not the overwhelming force they want us to believe they are." As they spoke, tracking stations across Earth detected 13 more council ships entering the solar system. They positioned themselves in a ring formation, surrounding Earth like a noose tightening. 1 week after first contact, humanity found itself trapped between submission and resistance, with no easy way to know which choice meant survival. 6 months passed. Life under alien rule was not good. The Council raised their demands from 10% to 15% of Earth's rare metals. They built a large compound in Geneva, Switzerland, with high walls and strange technology that hummed day and night. The blue aliens now walked Earth's streets like they owned the place. John Miller sat in a small coffee shop across from the Council compound. He wore plain clothes instead of his captain's uniform and a cap pulled low over his eyes. He sipped his coffee and pretended to read a newspaper while his special phone recorded nearby alien communications. "Captain Miller?" A woman's voice made him look up. Samantha Wright slid into the seat across from him. Her hair was now blonde instead of dark curly, a simple disguise. She placed her bag on the table between them. "Doctor?" John nodded. "Any progress with the research?" Samantha leaned forward, speaking softly. "The president has formed a secret group. We're studying everything we can about the council. I need your help." Later that day, in an underground room beneath an old factory, a group of 20 people gathered. Military officers, scientists, and government officials sat around a large table. President Garcia had named this group Project Truth, Xanadu's face appeared on a large screen, recorded from that morning's announcement. "Your species shows promise but lacks discipline," the alien told Earth's leaders with a cold stare. "The Council has decided to accelerate your integration by providing oversight of your educational systems and media." The screen went black. General Reeves stood up. "They want to control what we learn, what we watch, and what we say. This isn't protection. It's occupation." John Miller shared his findings next. "I've been tracking their ship communications for 3 months. There's something interesting. Whenever they mention the Orion arm of the galaxy, their message frequency triples. They're nervous about something in that direction." Samantha's team had made a discovery too. She pointed to star maps on the wall. "We've been comparing their star charts with our astronomical data. They're hiding something. They've completely removed a sector with at least 6 star systems from their maps." A young man with glasses raised his hand. This was Alex Foster, who studied languages and communication. "I've been watching recordings of council members speaking. When they talk about their military power, their faces show tiny signs of lying. Their eyes move in a certain way. Their hands twitch. They're not being honest about how strong they really are." The biggest breakthrough came 2 weeks later. Olivia Bennett, now working with Earth's best computer experts, managed to intercept and decode a council message. The group gathered again to hear her report. The message was short, Olivia said, her face serious. It said, "Maintain human containment. Prevent expansion beyond current boundaries. Conceal Rigel incident." The room fell silent. "What's the Rigel incident?" John finally asked. Samantha pulled up a 3D map of space. A blue dot lit up far from Earth. "Rigel is a star about 860 light-years away. Whatever happened there, they really don't want us to know about it." President Garcia stood up. Her face showed she had made a difficult decision. We need to find out what they're hiding. I'm authorizing a secret mission to Rigel. For 3 months, engineers had been building a special ship in a hidden base under the ocean. They called it Horizon. It had the best stealth technology humans could make, with some designs copied from studying council ships. It couldn't match alien speed, but it could travel through space without being detected. Captain Peter Chen was chosen to lead the mission. At 42, he was one of Earth's most experienced space pilots. His crew of 15 included the best scientists and soldiers Earth could spare. This mission is completely secret, President Garcia told them during their final briefing. If you're caught, we can't help you. The council must not know we're investigating them. The journey to Rigel was long and tense. For 3 months, the Horizon traveled through the darkness of space, staying far from known council patrol routes. The crew trained, studied, and prepared for any situation they might face. Finally, they reached Rigel. Dropping out of faster-than-light travel now, announced Linda Morris, the pilot. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. The ship slowed down. The main screen showed their first view of the Rigel system. "My God," Peter whispered. Everyone on the bridge stared in shock. The space around Rigel was filled with broken ships. Dozens of council vessels floated like dead fish, torn apart by something powerful. Metal pieces drifted everywhere. And past all this destruction, a huge structure, definitely not built by the council, circled the fourth planet. "It's some kind of space station," said Kevin Ward, the science officer. "But the design is nothing like council technology." "Captain," called Susan Hill from the communication station. "We're getting a signal from that structure." Peter straightened his back. "Put it on screen." The face that appeared wasn't blue like the council aliens. This being had golden brown skin with ridge-like patterns and bright amber eyes. Its voice was deep but clear. "Greetings, humans. We are the Valkyrie. We have been waiting for you to find us." The Valkyrie leader invited Captain Peter and 3 crew members to board their space station. Peter chose Kevin Ward, the science officer, Susan Hill from communications, and Jack Porter, head of security. They traveled in a small shuttle to the massive structure. The inside of the station was bright and open with curved walls and plants growing in many places. The Valkyrie were taller than humans, with golden brown skin and ridge patterns that seemed to glow softly. They moved with a smooth grace that made them look like they were almost floating. Reth, the Valkyrie leader, welcomed them to a round meeting room with a view of space. "We have watched your species since the council arrived at your world," Reth said, his deep voice calm and friendly. "We needed to know if you would be allies or just another council puppet." "You've been spying on us?" Jack asked, his hand moving closer to his hidden weapon. Reth made a gesture that looked like a shrug. "We have been observing, not interfering. The council must not know of our connection until the time is right." Over the next few hours, the Valkyrie explained everything. The council wasn't the benevolent galactic government they claimed to be. They were bullies who preyed on developing worlds, taking resources and keeping species from advancing. "They came to our 5 planets 50 years ago with the same demands they gave you," explained Reth, showing images on a large screen. "We paid their tribute at first until we discovered other species they had trapped the same way." "What happened when you stopped paying?" Peter asked. Reth pointed to the broken ships floating in space outside the window. "They tried to punish us. Their actual military power is much weaker than they pretend. Their whole strategy depends on making new species surrender without fighting back." The Valkyrie weren't alone. They had formed an alliance with 6 other species who had also broken free from council control. Together, they had been watching Earth since the council's arrival. "But why didn't you warn us right away?" Peter asked, feeling both relieved and angry. "We needed to understand what kind of species humans are," answered Reth. "Would you give up completely? Would you fight without thinking? Or would you do what you did, appear to obey while searching for the truth? Your mission here proved you are worthy allies." Back on Earth, the Horizon's return caused both excitement and concern. The ship brought back 2 Valkyrie representatives who met secretly with President Garcia and her advisors in the underground command center. "So everything the council told us was a lie," the president said after hearing their story. She looked, tired but determined. Not everything, replied Marek, one of the Valkyrie visitors. They do control many star systems, but only about a quarter of the galaxy, not half as they claim. Their technology for space travel is advanced, but their weapons are only slightly better than what you could develop in 10 years. This news sparked intense debate among Earth's leaders. On one side of the room, General Reeves pounded his fist on the table. We should kick them out of our system now that we know the truth. And then what? George Thompson asked calmly. We need to work with the other resistance species. We need a plan. Captain Peter brought back valuable information from the Rigel system. The Valkyrie had shared details about Council weaknesses and defensive systems that had worked against their weapons. Dr. Samantha's team immediately began working with Valkyrie engineers. They studied the alien defense technology in a secret lab under the Arctic ice. Their entire strategy depends on keeping species separated, she explained to President Garcia during a progress report. They never want anyone to discover what we now know. A plan started to form. Earth would pretend to still obey the Council while secretly building defenses and ships using Valkyrie help. The Resistance Alliance would prepare for coordinated action across many star systems. We need time, George told the president. Maybe 6 months to get everything ready. But they didn't get 6 months. A Council probe scanning the outer edges of the solar system detected the returning Horizon ship. Worse, it identified the Valkyrie vessel traveling alongside it. Within hours, Council ships around Earth went on high alert. Their weapons powered up. More ships moved closer to Earth. Xanadu demanded an immediate meeting with President Garcia. His usual calm face now showed cold anger as he entered her office in Washington. Your species has broken the terms of protection by contacting forbidden civilizations, he stated, not bothering to sit down. The Council now requires complete disarmament of all Earth ships and immediate placement of Council supervisors in all government positions. The president kept her voice steady. These are serious demands. How much time do we have to consider them? 24 hours, replied Xanadu. After that, we will implement containment protocols. Everyone in the room knew what that meant. The Council would attack. As soon as Xanadu left, President Garcia activated the emergency communication system. It's happening sooner than we planned. Begin Operation Defiance now. Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms built with Valkyrie help powered up. Earth's fleet of ships, upgraded with new technology, moved into position. Secret messages went out to the resistance allies. The fight would start earlier than planned. In the command center, John Miller, now an admiral in charge of Earth's space defense, watched as his screen filled with moving dots representing ships and weapons. 6 months of secret preparation was about to be tested. So much for having more time, he said to Olivia, who now worked as his communications chief. At least we're not completely unprepared, she replied, adjusting her headset. The Council still doesn't know how much we know. Admiral Miller nodded. That's our only advantage right now. He looked at the largest dot on his screen, the Council flagship moving into Earth orbit. Let's make it count. The Council flagship entered Earth orbit at exactly 9 a.m. Eastern Time. 12 warships surrounded it in a tight formation, designed to look scary and powerful. Their engines glowed bright blue against the blackness of space. From Earth, people could see the ships as strange new stars in the daytime sky. In the underground command center beneath Geneva, President Garcia stood surrounded by her war team. Screens covered the walls showing different views of Earth, space, and the positions of hidden defense systems. They're right on time, said General Reeves, checking his watch. They always are, replied George Thompson. If there's one thing the Council values, it's keeping to a schedule. The largest screen flickered, showing an incoming transmission. Olivia Bennett adjusted some controls at her station. It's Xanadu, Madam President. He's broadcasting from their flagship. On screen, ordered President Garcia, straightening her jacket and lifting her chin. Xanadu appeared, his blue face showing none of the fake friendliness from their first meetings. His large eyes were cold, and his voice had a sharp edge. Your time is up. You have not followed our orders to disarm your ships. The Council hereby ends Earth's protectorate status. He leaned closer to the camera. Submit to immediate occupation, or face elimination. The room fell silent. Months of secret work had led to this moment. Around the solar system, Earth's fleet waited in hidden positions. Defense platforms stayed powered down but ready. Their Valkyrie allies and ships from other resistant species waited just beyond the range of Council sensors. It was time to show the Council that humans weren't easy prey. President Garcia stood tall, her eyes steady as she looked at the alien, on screen. The people of Earth have thought about your demands for tribute, your threats, and your ultimatums. She paused, making sure to look directly at Xanadur. Our response is simple. She nodded to George, who pressed a button on the control panel. A single word appeared on screens throughout the Council fleet. No. At the same moment, Earth's defense grid activated. Hundreds of platforms appeared surrounding the Council ships. The Earth fleet decloaked, weapons ready but not firing. Beyond them, Valkyrie ships appeared, their golden hulls shining in the sunlight. Then came ships from the Trilari with their bubble-shaped designs, the Nodek with their sharp angles, and vessels from 4 other resistant species. "What is this?" demanded Xanadur, his voice rising as he saw more and more ships appear on his sensors. "This is our real answer," explained President Garcia calmly. "We know the truth about the Council. We've seen what happened at Rigel. We've met the species you tried to keep apart from each other. Your lies end today." Admiral John Miller opened a channel to all ships. His voice was firm but not angry. "Council vessels, power down your weapons and prepare to leave the Sol system. You will be escorted to the edge of our space." For several long minutes, nobody moved. The Council ships stayed in position, now outnumbered 20-1. Officers in Earth's command center held their breath. Fingers hovered over control panels. One wrong move could start a battle. "You are making a terrible mistake," Xanadur finally said, his voice tight with anger. "The Council's power reaches across the galaxy. The Council controls exactly 124 star systems," interrupted George, checking a tablet with notes. "Not the thousands you claimed. Your actual military is just 89 warships, most of which are right here in this solar system. We've mapped your territory, studied your capabilities, and talked to your other so-called protectorates." One by one, the Council ships powered down their weapons. The lights on their hulls dimmed. Only the flagship kept its systems running, at full power. "This is not over," Xanadur warned. "You're right," said President Garcia. "It's just beginning. You will leave our system immediately. A team will go with you back to Council space to negotiate new terms. As equals this time." As the Council ships turned and headed away from Earth, cheers erupted across the planet. People spilled into streets and hugged strangers. News broadcasts showed the Council retreat and the amazing sight of ships from 7 alien species now in orbit around Earth. The Resistance Alliance officially formed a communication network. Messages traveled between worlds that had once been kept isolated from each other. The truth spread quickly to other planets under Council control, and more species joined the Alliance. 6 months later, George Thompson walked up the steps to the new Galactic Assembly building. It stood on a neutral planet halfway between Earth and Valkyrie space. The old Council chamber had been replaced by a truly fair meeting place where all 28 species now had an equal voice. Inside the Grand Hall, representatives from planets across the galaxy sat at a round table. Some looked almost human. Others were very different. Some had 6 arms, others floated above their seats, and one species communicated through changing colors on their skin. George took his place as Earth's main speaker. "Humanity joins this assembly not as servants paying tribute or as a protectorate, but as equals," he announced to the gathered aliens. "The lesson we hope the galaxy learns is simple. Freedom cannot be controlled by lies. Working together is stronger than bullying, and sometimes the most powerful response is the simplest one." Throughout the hall, representatives nodded, murmured, or flashed colors showing agreement. The human delegation took their seats. Back on Earth, ships with the new Alliance symbol prepared for their first mission of exploration, not conquest. In schools, children learned about the 7 resistant species who had become Earth's first true allies. Museums displayed pieces of council ships as reminders of the day humanity stood up against tyranny. The word that had changed everything, no Kraur, became a symbol across the galaxy. It reminded everyone that even the strongest bully can be defeated when people stand together and refuse to be afraid. In the new Alliance headquarters on Earth, Admiral Miller looked out the window at the night sky, now filled with friendly ships, coming and going. "You know," he said to Olivia, who stood beside him, "I always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Turns out we weren't alone. We just needed to find the right neighbors." Olivia smiled. "And all it took was one word to change everything." "The right word," John said, "at the right time."